Hi, Never Stop Trucking here. We're talking about equipment that you can run as a driver and which is best for you to make more money. We have these three options, and I like to separate all the equipment in those three options. And the first one is a van, straight truck, and a semi-truck, but all these three have other subcategories as well, and we may talk a little about all those in this video, but I'm just gonna try to keep it generally separate, okay? So if you are a van, if you are a driver who wants to drive a van, should I say, that means that you probably don't have a CDLA, and I have a video that talks about that on my channel, which license you should get as a driver. But being a van driver or an operator or a limo driver or a taxi cab driver, something like that, it usually requires you to have a chauffeur license, and that means that you passed a written test about some rules on the road and how to behave on the road as a professional driver, but most likely you didn't have to take a driving test for that on top of the personal operator license that you already have. With a van, you can do local deliveries or you can go over the road. Usually, if you want to save some money on fuel and have a bigger van, usually people will go with Sprinter vans. They're higher and they're, I think, a little bit longer, and you can put more freight on it. They are more focused on saving fuel because they have different engines. I know Dodge and Mercedes, they make those vans, and I think they do Mercedes engines, I'm not sure, but they have better engines in it that use way less fuel, and they're more comfortable, okay, less noisy, as opposed to these, for example, these Chevy vans that, and I had one long time ago, and it was a very reliable van, but the engine was big and it was using a lot of fuel and there was not that much room in the back. So with these vans, there are some people who want to do over the road driving. And right now, because the times are tough, over the road is not good for anything, especially for the small equipment. Let's put it that way. The bigger equipment that you have, the bigger trailer, it's easier for you to find freight. So with these vans, they're very limited to like expedite delivery, like one pallet, maybe a couple of pallets, some boxes or something odd that has to be transported from somewhere to somewhere. If you are doing over the road in those vans, then you can expect right now to do maybe like $1 a mile, which in my mind is of course not nowhere near enough. But you still have to do it if you want to survive. So being a Sprinter van driver over the road, and I did some polls on the channel, I made some videos about Sprinter vans. If you make like $3,000 a week and you spend like $600-700 on fuel, and you have insurance and taxes and all that, maybe even a payment, I think you can probably after everything do like $1,500 a week, and I think that's a good week. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're a Sprinter van driver, but from what I've been hearing, $1,500 a week and net is very good nowadays for Sprinter vans. Now, I always say to everyone, if you have a van, don't jump into getting an MC right away. Okay, I bought a van, I bought a Sprinter, now I'm going to get my MC, I'm going to be my own boss. It's going to be tough. There are a few reasons. First reason is because you're brand new, your MC authority is new. Most brokers will not work with you. You need like 2 or 3 months to pass by, and then everyone will start working with you. And on top of that, there is not much choice for loads if you have a Sprinter van. Okay, so my advice is get signed on to someone, get leased on to someone, to a local company. Just find them online, Indeed, Craigslist, Facebook, any kind of advertisements that they advertise on those websites, on those load boards, and then get in touch with them. Also, some big companies like Siva or England. There was Panther at one time. I don't know if they are still around or not. but you can usually sign on to them and move their freight. Once you learn how the industry works, once you learn all the lanes, like where you like to go, where are the loads, and maybe call around, get in touch with brokers, then you can get your own authority and maybe start hauling your own loads. Also, my advice to everyone is that, especially if you live in an area like East Coast or like Northeast, where they don't have any freight for vans, try to do something locally or regional. There are a lot of companies that you can sign on to them, and do it locally. What I did when I had my van, I was doing a local delivery for Avon. And then I was delivering to these resellers. I had like 9 routes for 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I would go back to the first lane that I was doing and just deliver these. That's what I was doing as a van. And I know other, like in the same company, they were doing medical deliveries in their vans. So there's always something like mail boxes. Now they have Amazon. I don't know if you want to do that or not, but there are specific local companies that do this that you can do with your van. Okay. And like I said, and even if you're local, I don't think in these days, maybe you can do like $1,000 a week after everything. I don't know. Let us know in comments if you're doing something locally as well with your Sprinter van or any other van. Now we're moving to straight trucks. They're usually around 24 or 26,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, and they can be local, they can be regional. Some of them go over the road like anywhere, but usually they don't go that far because they don't have a lot of freight for those. They don't have sleepers, so it's tough. And I know some of these straight trucks have sleepers too, but that's very rare. If you're in a straight truck, there is also not that much freight. But also, if you are about to buy a straight truck, make sure the longer it is, the better it is, okay? If you have a 24 feet room in your back as opposed to 26, it's going to make a big difference. There are way more loads for 26 feet straight trucks as opposed to 24. So you may think that, okay, it's just 2 feet, there's nothing else, this one is much cheaper. No, you should probably get 26 feet. It will open up more opportunities for you, and sometimes there will not be any loads that you can load, so it's better to go with 26 feet. Okay, and they can do regional, over the road, local, and you can get a few pallets. You can get like 10,000 pounds maybe. Some of them will go more, depending on the truck that you have. And you can do a lot of freight, but it's just hard to find that rate. And sometimes people who do partials that go on semi-trucks, they will pay very cheap for these loads. They will pay sometimes like 50 or 80 cents per mile because they run it as a partial. But you are there to pick it up in a straight truck. It might be a full load for you, but in their eyes, it's not. It's a partial, so they pay less money. And with these trucks, I think, unless you're working very hard and you do like 2 or 3 loads a day somewhere locally, and, you can maybe even make as much as CDLA or semi-trucks, but that's very rare. And you can expect, same thing with Sprinter van. If you make 1,500 to like 2,000 a week, that's very, very good in these times. It's probably going to be less in these market times, after everything, after fuel. Also, with these straight trucks, you also can look for something local. There are local furniture places that will work with straight trucks, and dedicated deliveries that you do in a day, that you go to same places all over. But usually these furniture places, it's hit or miss. Sometimes you can get freight, sometimes you don't, and it's a lot of heavy work. Usually that means that you have to have a helper, and you have to carry that furniture, and it's no fun, as you probably already know. So that's your straight trucks. And coming back to the best is the semi-truck. Semi-trucks open up so many doors for you. Usually the best freight is in semi-trucks. Now, if you're an owner-operator, then most owner-operators get just big trucks with sleepers. So they go over the road. Usually the day cabs, without the sleepers are reserved for companies that do local runs, okay? Or if they consolidate freight and put them in one warehouse and then just distribute it after that. So usually you are going to have a sleeper in your truck, and you're going to be over the road. You're going to be away from your home. If you're a driver and you want to make serious money, and the company that works with over the road freight, they will keep you on the road. So if you want to do that kind of thing, you have to plan that you're going to be on the road. You're going to be away from your family and your friends and your city and everything you know and like. And if that's okay with you, cool. There are other good things about driving, like seeing the country, visiting new places every day, not having to be in an office, not having to be in a closed factory, enjoying the weather, and just working with new people, no boss that's hanging over your shoulder. So there's a lot of positive things. I'm just telling you to be prepared that you're going to be away from home. And if you find a company that promises you that you're going to be home like every 2-3 nights or so, or a week, then you have to be very suspicious. You really have to go into research and make sure you know that this is what they actually say it is, because a lot of times, they will tell you, okay, well, you only go like 5 days, and then they're like at the end of the week, well, we are, we don't see any freight that's coming home. We have to keep you on the road. No. That wasn't the deal. But some drivers would just say, okay, whatever. But you got to be prepared for that if they tell you that you're going to be home very, very often. Okay, so even if you're a company driver or owner-operator, you can make way more money driving a semi-truck. If you're a company driver, just do your math. If they're paying you per mile anywhere from like 50 to like 65 cents per mile or more, I don't know. Just do your math. With ELDs, you can't make as many miles as you used to be able to. Anywhere from like 2,000 to 3,000 miles a week is a standard now, and that's how much money you can make. So anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a week, that's how much you can make as a company driver. As an owner operator, it really depends whether you're doing a dry van, flatbed, reefer, auto carrier, step deck, flatbed, Conestoga. There are a lot of differences, but generally, if you're an owner-operator, nowadays you can make anywhere from like $6,000 to $10,000. Well, let's just say $5,000 to $10,000 a week, and then you get left with anywhere from like $2,500 to like $5,000-6,000 a week if you're owner-operator. But it all depends on the kind of equipment you're doing. Dry vans tend to pay the least, but with the dry van you can still net probably around $3,000 to $4,000 after all your expenses in these market times and these fuel prices. Okay, usually like last year we were able to do much more. My owner operators were bringing much more, but nowadays it's what it is. Hopefully this will pass. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section. I'll see you guys around.